if we're going to go, we have to make a concerted effort in order to really push the boat forward, because that's time away from our family. So we got to come back with something, it's got to be meaningful. And so as far as roles, I think it's really just trying to have that balance, know the defined roles, be supportive of each other, and just try to grow together. Sometimes if it's not the thing that speaks to you, there's an aspect that you could learn to love. Somebody might be an introvert, the other one might be an extrovert, but there's a role for both of that, within multifamily.
Yeah.
And within investing, right? Somebody could be behind the scenes. Somebody could be the social person. Like Denise and I go into a room. Denise sometimes goes one way and I go the other. Mm-hmm. And we meet back up and we love comparing notes. Like we had this phenomenal conversation. I met the most interesting person. Yeah. This is what they do. I love the new ideas and the creativity of how people are doing it as well. So that's something that really speaks to us.
Hello, everyone. We're Jacqueline and Melvin Landry, and we welcome you to our podcast, Get Diversified. Throughout these series, we'll cover all the topics and questions you have about investing in apartment buildings, storage facilities, and mobile home parks. Being knowledgeable in these areas will help you feel more comfortable about investing. Apartment investing equals building wealth. Building wealth equals financial freedom. Achieving financial freedom allows you to spend your time with building memories with your loved ones. Let's face it, time is the one element in life that is limited, and you don't want to waste it.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Get Diversified show. We are here again doing our Power Couple series. And guess what, folks? Today we got a dandy. We got a powerful couple. They're rolling in the multifamily space. And you know what? Proximity is power, and we're happy to be in you guys' proximity. To the O'Reillys, welcome. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thank you very much for having us. We really appreciate it.
We're so glad to be here. Thank you.
Hey, with me, Jackie, and I want to thank you guys for being a part of our podcast show. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to jumping in and learning about your story, your journey in multifamily, and what's next that you guys got coming up. So we're interested to hear about that as well.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So with that, we want to start with just having each one of you introduce yourself and kind of talk to us about how you got into real estate.
Yeah. Sounds good.
You got it. So I'm Denise, and I've been in real estate for over 20 years now. I've done acquisition, sales, and property management. Mm-hmm. And we've had rentals for a long time. I think we both got our first single family rental in 1998. And we've been in that space for a number of years. We also just came across multifamily, I would say 5 years ago, and never really looked back. It was the most amazing way for us to kind of blend both of our skill sets and create this amazing new business together.
Awesome. And how did you find multifamily?
It's been a bit of a journey for me. I found Robert Kiyosaki, like that purple book, a long time ago, like in 2003. But at that time, I was also young, and I was always also looking to start a family and have kids and go down that road. So I never really delved that deeply into investing other than single family until more recent years. But I always had that real passion, that drive to do it. And I would say maybe 2016, I just got super obsessive about listening to podcasts and just doing tons of research. Yeah. And I just did it religiously every day. I was just searching. It was this hungry thirst for knowledge. Mm-hmm. And then after doing all that and kind of listening to all the different people doing different things, I honed in on multifamily. I just thought it was the best asset class and the best way to scale and grow. And I just focused in on that and became really, really excited about it. And I'll let Mike talk a little bit about his journey as well and how we kind of just started moving forward.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. So for myself, as Denise mentioned, we both, before we met each other, we both had rentals, single family rentals. So I came from the world of finance. I was a institutional equity trader for 23 years at a boutique broker dealer. I traded for institutions, hedge funds, and family offices. I was an execution broker. And when Denise and I met, really, I was so focused in on what I was doing in the equity space, trading a little bit of debt, but I knew that our clients were, quite involved in commercial real estate in a number of different aspects, but I never really focused on it. So it wasn't really until Denise and I we took a drive from Southern California to Northern California late on a Friday, and Denise put in a podcast. And it really started to speak to us. So we had all this new content to banter and to discuss and talk about. But really, I found multifamily for my wife, and her being kind of obsessive of listening to these different podcasts. And mind you, I did not have interest at the time in listening to the podcast, but she pushed forward and made sure that I listened to it, and so that kind of got us to this point.
Got it. So that's kind of like us. So, but it's not exactly podcast with respect to multifamily. Yeah. But who's the guy? Eric Thomas?
Eric Thomas.
So Melvin listens to that a lot. He plays it for our little guy in the car, even though he's kind of raw and uncut. And he's like, how do you got to listen to this? And then I started going, wow, this guy's good. And he's super uncut and I like it. And so that was the motivational part, which is definitely needed to go into any aspect of real estate. So the mindset for me was the thing that I needed to get in check right before I started going into multifamily. So that the podcasts were super important.
Absolutely. And I think that's paramount, right? The confidence and the mindset. And usually, in a relationship, there's maybe one person's maybe in a better headspace than the other person or vice versa, right? So when we started to really seek out mentorship and learn, and watch people that have done this before us, it's a pebble and it starts picking up steam and it starts building and you start learning that and building that confidence. It's like that muscle memory. And then you're like, we could do this. You start believing it. If you see it, you can do it.
So true. Yeah. So true.
And so all of these things have been great for us as a couple, growing together and also individually.
Definitely. And I would say, different people speak to you, right? So being a woman in real estate and investing, I really perked up when I heard these successful women speak on these podcasts because it really, it makes you think I can do it too. If she could do it, I can do it too. So I remember one particular podcast. It was a real estate radio guys. I was listening to Monique Hom, and like us, she lived in Southern California, and she kind of started on the same route, like on a smaller scale. I believe she invested in maybe duplexes or something like that, or fourplexes. And she ran into Robert Helms of the Real Estate Radio Guys once at a convention, and she was, I believe, talking to him about what she did and, thinking about scaling into fourplexes or eightplexes. And he was like, well, why are you going to do that? And she was talking about the expense of these rental properties in California, and the numbers don't always make sense. You don't cash flow in California when you invest in single family or duplexes or fourplexes. Yeah. It's more for the appreciation. It's an appreciation play. So, he was kind of suggesting, well, you can live where you want to live and invest where it makes sense. That was his phrase. And he's like, why don't you invest in large multifamily, like 80, 100 units? And he planted this seed in her head. And she was like, wow, it opened up her mind. And for me at that moment, I was also like, wow, it opened up my mind. And that gave me that thirst to seek out the right mentor to help us along with that. And I was, looking for something we could do together. And this was just amazing and the perfect opportunity for us.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for sharing that information on that. So let's think about the time when it started to come together for you all. I know, Denise, you and Mike have worked in real estate in some shape or form or capacity. at what point did you guys realize that, ooh, we can really, really scale up really, really fast from your guys' standpoint along your multifamily journey?
Well, I don't know that for us, I don't know that it happened really fast. We've actually taken a very kind of methodical, slower approach. We've done all the roles in the sense of, we started to passively invest as LPs, and we started to KP, and then we started to put together our own deals as GPs. Really, we wanted to understand, because you're dealing with other people's money, and it's really important to really get this right, because you have a responsibility to your investors, and the hard work that they went through in order to get that money to invest with you, and it's a trust thing. So we took our time with it, to tell you the truth. We've seen people that have scaled much quicker. For us, we were okay. So it wasn't like a sprint for us. Timing wise, cycles of the market, maybe it would have been a little bit more lucrative if we had obviously a couple, GP roles a little bit earlier on. But everything happens for a reason. So we're really comfortable with where, to the point at which we're at now. I didn't love getting up, public speaking. I could speak in a small group, but put me on a stage with a mic, and it was very hard for me. So, it's all steps, but you have to be able to do that in order to be able to go talk to a room of investors, or to have dinner with, and hold the attention of the table that you're talking to. I did have a, kind of secret weapon, which was my wife, right? So she was my strength at time when I didn't feel like doing it. She'd push me out there and say, go do it, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Mike, what role do you play? So in multifamily, there's a lot of different roles. Do you have a specific role that you play, and another one that Denise plays, or do you guys kind of, blur the lines a little bit? Tell me a little bit more about that.
That'd be interesting to hear. Yeah.
Definitely at the start, we all wear a number of different hats, right? Yeah. So those lines are blurred. I would say that my focus has been like acquisition, broker relations, capital raising. Really, Denise could be doing like 10 different roles, and it looks like she's doing one thing, plus keeping, everybody in line at home and taking care of the family. So, I'm like a one track, one subject guy. She'll be doing a dozen things, so, women definitely have this superpower. And in a male dominated world, it's like in business, I worked in a locker room. I worked with a bunch of guys. There was like one girl. And if one girl walked in the room, all the other guys would kind of go cuckoo. And it's weird. But now working with my wife, she's way more skilled than I am. So it's been a great journey.
Awesome. What about you, Denise? Would you agree with that?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm more skilled than him. What he does is really, really important. But I think as moms, as wives, as business owners and entrepreneurs, we have to multitask. It's part of our DNA, and it's needed for survival and to thrive. So I would say my role, I also take part in acquisitions, but I do asset management, business operations, and also investor relations.
You do it all.
No.
He's the great communicator. That's for sure.
Awesome. So we're kind of a little bit of a mix between you. I say Melvin's kind of the strategic person. He's kind of investor relations. He can talk to anybody. I'm more of the numbers girl. And then we both have responsibilities with taking care of things at home and with our little guy who's 8, as you guys know. So it's a little bit of both for us. So at first I was going to say, Mike, I'm more like you. But then I wear multiple hats too, as a wife as well as a mom. So, it's a little bit of both.
It's good balance, right?
Yeah.
So, with the kiddos, right? He's heavily into athletics, right? Baseball, lacrosse. So I'm trying to be at every practice, so I can kind of be there, give feedback. And for me, I've never done lacrosse before, right? So I'm learning the sport myself, right? So which is a good eye opener. So, There's always a good balance, and when I'm stuck maybe on the computer doing something, dear, can you handle it? She jumps in, and vice versa. So I think we make a good team, right, dear?
Yes, for sure, for sure.
That's what it's all about.
We're still here after 10 years of marriage, so that's good.
I know you guys mentioned 20 plus years, correct?
In real estate, or let me in real estate, as far as being married, 14 years.
But we dated for almost 20 years. Yeah. Dated 6 years before that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a longer courtship.
We were 12.
Our courtship was a little rather quick.
Ours was quick. So 11 months living in different states, dating. Yeah. Then 11 months we got married, and about a year after that, baby. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
If it's right, it's right. All right, cool. So, Denise, I have a question for you. So, what's the biggest advice you can give to wives working with their husbands? Because I can't always imagine that it's always smells like roses. It's always I love you, honey, that kind of thing. But what's the biggest advice you can give to wives working with husbands? And then, Mike, we're going to hand it over to you and ask the same question about working with your wife.
That's a really good question. I would say it has to be very, very clear that each of you has your designated roles within the business. Like we said earlier, there's always going to be crossover, but at the end of the day, you have to know what your roles and responsibilities are. So, for instance, we are both on the asset management calls every single week, and we both partake in that. But at the end of the day, as the lead asset manager, it's my responsibility to make sure that the numbers are trending in the right direction as far as occupancy and income and expenses are being kept in check. And also that we're achieving all of our KPIs. So I know that. And I also know that at the end of the month, I always have to get that investor newsletter out. It's a collaboration. Mike and I talk about it. I'll write it up and I'll have him proofread, and, he'll give me feedback, and it's kind of a work in progress. But at the end of the day, I need to make sure it goes out. So, and then same with capital raising for Mike. I mean, I can help. We both work on it, but at the end of the day, he has to make sure that those dollars are coming in and we're getting those investors.
Awesome. All right, Mike. So what we heard from Denise was cooperation and sort of staying in your lane and having the ultimate responsibility for your designated role, such as asset management.
Yeah. So I think for anybody who's listening to this or sees this, I think it's important to know that there might be one partner that's more enthusiastic about it than the other. So if you're not both on the same page, be a partner and just be supportive.
Yeah.
Know that that's what your partner is really, that's what their passion is. And if you're passionate about something, then you're going to be successful. So I think it's really important just to try to stay positive, compartmentalize work time, personal time. We also have a 12-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son. And so, there's family too. And a lot of these conferences and different things, educational meetups that we go to stay on top of best practices within the industry, they take a lot of time, a lot of travel time, a lot of time away from the kids. So we try to really, if we're going to go, we have to make a concerted effort in order to really push the boat forward, because that's time away from our family. So we got to come back with something, it's got to be meaningful. And so as far as roles, I think it's really just trying to have that balance, know the defined roles, be supportive of each other, and just try to grow together. Sometimes if it's not the thing that speaks to you, there's an aspect that you can learn to love. Somebody might be an introvert, the other one might be an extrovert, but there's a role for both of that, within multifamily. And within investing, right? Somebody could be behind the scenes. Somebody could be the social person. Like Denise and I go into a room. Denise sometimes goes one way and I go the other. We meet back up and we love comparing notes. Like we had this phenomenal conversation. I met the most interesting person.
Yeah.
This is what they do. I love the new ideas and the creativity of how people are doing it as well. So that's something that really speaks to us and we're able to share together.
Cool. That's fantastic. What you talking about? You go your way, she goes that way. You come back together and kind of put it together. And it comes to a collaborative effort from a couple standpoint. That's fantastic to hear. Mike, you said something, man, in both terms of, when you're taking trips, right? The kids, right? Of course, first and foremost, that's the foundation for it all, right? You're your family. When you think about business and personal time, how do you guys kind of balance out the two? Because it's a pendulum, right? When you got to keep the business going forward, but hey, you got 2 kids, we got 1, we got to keep things flowing on the home front, right? Which is a centralized base. So how would you both say, how you guys find that balance? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of different answers on this before you answer, by the way. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so from my old world, I worked East Coast hours on the West Coast. And a lot of times I would come home midday, which, the rest of the world's, still moving and happening on the West Coast. So Denise and I sometimes would like high five each other and she'd have to go out the door to go to a couple appointments. And then I'd take over the kids. And now we get to really, spend a lot of time together, which is great. So we travel together. We wake up in the morning. We drop the kids at school together. We pick them up from school. Okay. Just, most days together. We'll go for a walk every day. Sneak in a lunch every once in a while together. So we definitely get together time. Now,
do you turn off the real estate piece?
Yeah, we do turn off the real estate piece, but we're very fortunate in the sense that we are able to talk about it and we enjoy it. Yeah. So we're able to discuss it from a learning perspective, especially at the start. It was phenomenal because we had somebody to bounce it off. Yeah. And even more recently, people have come up to us and they said, Michael, I'm so, I'm envious. I'm jealous. And I said, why is that? And they said, well, you get to do this with your spouse. And, I can't tell you how many girlfriends or even, my wife, I can't get them to be interested in it. And some people, they just come from a different mindset. And, but I definitely feel like when we come home from a conference, we could be on a plane and we could be discussing all the good information that we just learned. Or if we come away from a meeting, there's things that Denise picks up on. There's things that I pick up on. So we kind of, we catch the things that may go through the cracks.
Yeah, we do too. And we try to turn it off. It's funny. We'll say, okay, we're going on a date and we'll go to dinner. We'll sit at the bar. And what do we end up doing? Talking about real estate. Yeah, so it's really hard for us to turn it off because we're so excited about it. Yeah. And then we'll occasionally get the comment from our 8-year-old that says, Mommy and Daddy, can you please stop talking about real estate? And then we'll don't you want to learn how you can buy that airplane that you want when you're 17 and you have your pilot's license and how you can actually get there? Because airplanes are expensive. Oh, well, yeah, maybe, Mom. Tell me a little bit more, right? So,
or if it's time to do a video, right? And, we do the flashcards thing with him with finance and credit terms, right? He's, hey, let's get in front of the camera. Well, all right, son, let's do it. And it's just raw and uncut. And he's ready for showtime. So
he's like his daddy.
I guess. Well, yeah, it's turn it off. It's tough. It's tough, guys. I mean, we got momentum. And it's infectious, right? And the habits, change the habits, we're gaining some success. So it's just like, it's hard to turn it off, man. I don't know.
Now, Denise, do you try to push to turn it off more? Because I try to push my husband to put the cell phone down, turn it off. If somebody calls, it's not it's not the end of the world if you don't answer the phone. Yeah. So that's some of the things that we struggle with. Is I said, sometimes let's just leave the phone for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I'm the one who has the harder time turning it off because my mind is going like 20, unless
miles a minute.
I'm thinking about it or it creeps into my mind. So I'm really passionate about it. And I know Mike is too. And that's what's great. I feel like we've grown closer in a lot of ways now that we're working together. It's just, for me, I'm living my best life. I think it's amazing that we have this partnership and we're married and we're together all the time. I don't know if it would be that way with all couples, you know?
Yeah.
Of course, you need your alone time or your personal time every now and again. But I think we're fortunate in the fact that we have these synergies and chemistry, and we're able to work and live and be married and do the kids. And you know, when he was working his job and I was working in real estate, we didn't see each other a lot. You know, it was like ships passing in the night or high five and then on to the next thing. So I always missed him. So now that we get to work together and travel together and do this together, I'm super happy. It's like the best thing ever.
Okay, good.
That's awesome.
That's good.
That's cool.
That is good.
That's cool. You guys should kiss now because that's what makes us want to kiss. So sweet. Well, what else, dear, do we want to talk about?
You guys, forward trajectory. Let's talk about the future, right? Next 12, 18 months. What are some goals, KPIs you got on your radar?
What do they have going on?
Yeah, what do you have going on?
We've heard there's some big things going on, and we'd love to hear about that and tell all of our users about it as well.
Yeah, share with the viewers.
Sure. So like right now, the cost of debt and the inventory that's out there is a little bit, well, the inventory is a little low and the debt's a little high. So we really took a step back and just really tried to focus on our last acquisition, get the thing going in the right direction. And then going forward, we believe that there's going to be a lot of competition. So there's a lot of people out there, a lot of dry powder, so to speak. So there's a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines, and people are going to want to put it to work. With fewer inventory, it's going to be more competitive. So we took steps to put together a fund. So we're launching a blind fund, and our idea is to come alongside industry relationships that we've met and become familiar with over the last 5 years, and be able to seed between 5 and 8 deals, be a part of the GP team, and really see the project to success. So we're going to focus on Class B value add, predominantly in the Dallas market, but we are open to the Sun Belt region, and we're just going to try to scale. We just want to scale, in a more streamlined, more like a stronger vehicle. We're still going to partner with people. We're still going to partner in syndications, but we're just going to bring our piece through a fund.
Awesome. So can you, Mike or Denise, can you describe to our users that may not be familiar with a debt fund, what it actually means for an investor?
So ours is not a debt fund. Ours is an equity fund.
Equity fund. Okay. Okay.
Yep. So there's syndication, which is essentially a pool of investors, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so our idea is that, sometimes more time needs to be spent on due diligence or on your underwriting. And I feel like if we don't have to scramble to go raise the cash, and we have subscription agreements that are already signed, people that are already interested in not one particular property, but in general in this space with a given return. If you've already spoke to them and they've already shown interest, then you could have the capital raised. So you go in stronger. So if somebody comes with a fund, they're a cash buyer, so to speak. And if somebody's coming from syndication, then they have to go raise the money in a lot of cases. So from a seller's perspective and also a broker's perspective, it's, they have more confidence to close with somebody who's coming with a fund than just straight syndication. There's a lot of things that come into factor, whether it be the strength of the team, the experience of the team, the key principal that you might be working with you, your total liquidity, your total net worth. So all of these things come into play, and we just wanted to try to build something a little bit more competitive.
Awesome. Okay. That's great. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. And the timing on your fund, are you fully launched, or is that something to accomplish in the next quarter? What's your timing on the delivery? So kind of start getting the word out to other other potential investors and other folks who may be interested? How's that looking?
We're launched.
Oh, you
We're
launched.
raising now.
Okay, congratulations. Okay.
Did we get the email? Are we not on the list?
No,
You need to be on the list, guys.
I want to make sure we're
Don't worry.
No, so we just got everything finalized, and within the next 2 months, we're going to be raising. We're going to try to close the fund July 31st,
Okay.
and yeah, we're really we wanted to build something while we feel like things need to kind of recalibrate a little bit. Obviously, the Fed we feel needs to pause or to reverse course a little bit for inventory to start to pick back up. Not to say that there aren't some deals still trading out there, but from a historical point of view, it's pretty it's much slower than it was, right? Yep. So second half into next year really is where we're really targeting. Maybe we find a deal by the end of the year, but we're looking 2024, 2025 to be able to deploy. So the way that funds work, you set your target date, you want to have your raise together. You really have more time to raise, if you will, like in tranches. Mm-hmm. So as deals come up, you could deploy. And so we have a 2-year ultimate raise and a 2-year deployment that we're looking at. And that will keep us plenty busy in the multifamily space.
Okay.
And that's awesome. And that's a great way to think about it, right? Where there's a lot of people saying, oh, I'm holding off. I'm not doing anything. There's a disparity between sellers and buyers. Yeah. And you guys are just taking their money and saying, hey, come on, let's all put it together. And when we're ready, we're going to be ready to go. And we're going to do it the right way. So,
so we don't take anybody's money in. We'll take a subscription.
You just get commitments.
Okay. Yeah, because once you receive money, that IRR clock starts ticking. So you really want to be able to, maybe take a deposit if you want to kind of, have people's commitment level just a little bit more. But our idea is to really try to scale this going forward. So we're not just looking at one fund. We're looking at try to grow it in a real scalable form rather than just running around to do. There's nothing wrong with syndication. It's a cheaper way and a cheaper form of putting a deal together. We're still going to be investing alongside and in syndications, but we just want to be able to become a little bit more sophisticated at other areas. And in order to do it, we can't do it all, right? So we want to be able to potentially bring on an analyst and be able to have other people underwriting, and you do partner with people within a syndication that bring these skill sets.
Yep.
Yeah. We also have an idea of how we want to scale this. So we do have, fund 1, fund 2, fund 3. We also have a different strategy. So Denise and I, we own and operate assisted living homes, boutique homes in California. So we have an idea along those lines of how to scale that. We also started a nonprofit.
Awesome. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Let Denise tell you about that.
Yeah. So we have a nonprofit. It's called the Viewmont Foundation. And operating these homes, we realize, assisted living is not inexpensive, and it's just getting more and more expensive. And there's a lot of people that we're primarily a private pay model. So there's a lot of people we're seeing out there who just can't afford, and maybe they are not set up correctly and they don't have the resources to afford quality type living. So we started this foundation, and what we're providing is financial aid to seniors who don't have the resources or ways to get the adequate financing to afford their care and home. So we're going to be supplementing those that are qualified to help them afford their assisted living.
Awesome.
So in essence, guys, what you guys have just articulated, you guys are getting diversified to the fullest in terms of participating in syndication, right? Your fund, nonprofit, fantastic things you guys have going on. Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. Guys, before we close it out, I want to ask you guys a question in terms of the biggest advice you would give couples getting in, progressing in multifamily, real estate in general. What advice would you give couples who are looking to kind of get to where you guys are at and progressing along? Any thoughts on that? And you can take. We'll go with Denise, ladies first. So
I would say education. Get yourself educated. Go to as many conferences as you can. Find a mentor in the space. Really hone in on what you want to do in real estate and investing, and do it together. If you're planning on being business partners and moving this boat forward together, go to those things together. Listen to those podcasts together. So it takes a lot of time for one person to try to explain all that they heard at a 3-day conference.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, he usually texts me for 24 hours a day when he's at a conference.
Yeah, like, dude, fired up, right? So, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, do it together. Do it together as a couple.
Be patient. Be patient with the process. Be patient with each other, and it'll come. Success will come. You just have to keep on moving forward.
So
one
true.
foot with the other.
Step by step.
Yeah. You mentioned in 12 months, right? Our trajectory is, we've grown a lot, right? And when we're first starting off, like, man, I want to move forward. I want to run down the track fast, but sometimes it's a subtle jog, right?
Definitely.
We got alignment, and now we're at a cruising altitude, which is pretty good. And the best is yet to come, right? As you can say.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? Any advice for couples from your viewpoint, sir?
Yeah, I would echo everything that my wife said with regards to get educated, find a mentor. Your mentor, there's lots of great mentors that are out there. We found a phenomenal mentor in the multifamily space that really spoke to us. Yep. He spoke to maybe going, bigger, pushing yourself, getting outside your comfort zone. If you're a little bit nervous, then you're growing. If you're too comfortable, you're not growing fast enough. But there's multiple mentors that are out there. Find one that speaks to you, and your mentor doesn't even have to be somebody that's a paid educator. This is a team sport. You cannot do it alone. There's just too many moving parts. So if you like collaborating with people, and it could be the one person that maybe brought you to a local coffee shop meetup or a conference, they could be your mentor. They're maybe just a couple steps ahead of you. So learn their steps first, and then, you'll start connecting the dots. But for any couple, I would just say, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and really start with your why. What it is that you want out of this. Why are you going to put all this time into something? It's very social, so that's great. Sure. But you could get stuck in that analysis paralysis stage. So at some point,
it happens,
whether it's your partner or another team member, they just nudge you a little bit to go outside your comfort zone. And that's when things will really start to come together.
Yeah, we do that sometime. We're kind of talking about, when are we going to get this meetup started? When are we going to get the meetup started? I'm like, well, what if only one person comes? He goes, well, let's get the meeting, let's get it started, right? It always starts with a few people, right? And then it can grow, could grow to 100, but just even having an audience of one person, and then the word spreading. So so he nudges me every once in a while, and I nudge him on other stuff. So it's good to know. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And I think I have a lot in the last, since October, which is really October last year, which is when I really kind of took the dive into multifamily and kind of got on board with my husband. And we've been married, 10 years. So really, after 9 years, I said, man, there's a lot of money to be made here, and we can live a better life, right? We can spend more time with our family, our friends. We could take vacations, build memories. So that's super important for us.
Yeah. For us, it was about legacy. It was about buying back our time. And, we've just been so enriched. We've met people like you. And, we love coming to these different conferences that we'll see you shortly, I think in a week, less than a week. But yeah, it's been a great journey so far. And we're excited of all the, people look at individuals or couples and they say, God, these guys are like overnight success. But it's like, you work at this. Nothing's overnight. You just work quietly, keep, putting one foot in front of the other, just keep going. There's going to be uncomfortable times. There's going to be maybe painful times, emotional times, but it all kind of comes out and you grow. So it's good.
I haven't cried yet, honey. So I think we're okay.
That's in Melbourne, right?
I haven't made you cry yet.
No, yeah, no, man, I try to be strong-willed here, guys, right? So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you guys spending the last few 30 minutes with us talking about your journey and great nuggets. And we always kind of compare ourselves to the couples that are on our screen here. And I think we're trying to do the same things that you are. We're in a little bit of a different place, but we appreciate all of your knowledge and everything that you shared with us today. And hopefully other couples that are watching this, or even individuals that are, they can learn something on how to bring their spouse in on it and how to work together and be successful.
That's awesome.
So we really appreciate it, guys. We'll see you next week in California.
Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you on the West Coast.
Yes, you will.
And we'll have to have a real anniversary celebration, not like what I did by myself in Mexico.
Well, we celebrated.
Yeah, we had a good time.